Hello everyone and welcome back to Stoneblock 4. Last episode we left off getting our first dimensionless setup, and off camera I went ahead and got the rest of them all set up and made a bunch of unbreakable brushes. Now I would have gone ahead and bought all the smithing templates manually. They're 10 coins each, not too bad, but we did need like 36 of them, so we went ahead and salvaged a bunch of gear that we got from the dungeons and made some gems and salvaged some gems as well to make some gem fused slates, and then we got all of our unbreakable brushes thanks to our world engine. Now, I will say, while doing the world engine crafts, I realized we're lacking power, and a lot of power. So temporarily what I did set up was a very simple chicken seed into the roost with our lava chicken, who I maxed out, who makes lava eggs, which then hop her into a fluid tank and from mechanism, and that automatically pushes into our generator. So this was able to get our power solution like somewhat saved. However, this is not an efficient system. While we could make a bunch more lava generators and also do the add-ons for them, I want to go with a fun power source that I've never actually used. And that means we're going to go with the Magmator, Magmator. I don't know how you want to say this, but we're going to go with these. We only can do Spirited at the moment because Nitro does require us to have Nether Stars, and that is not something we have access to at the moment. We might find a Wither, who knows, we might be able to do this, but for now we're going to go with the Spirited version. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Molten Blaze, which in the same fashion that we're doing with the chicken eggs at the moment, we're going to use a Blaze Rod chicken, and we're going to fuel our Magmators, however you want to say it, like I said, with Molten Blaze through Productive Metalworks. Now, you could also have a Blaze spawner or do blazes through this, and every time they take damage, they take 10 millibuckets. However, I think doing the chickens is going to be a lot more efficient. One Blaze Rod, 400 millibuckets. It should be pretty fine. Now, we could use slow melters. There's a lot of different things we can get Molten Blaze from. However, this is the way we're going to do it. But to get into Magmators, we're going to need Energized Steel to begin with, which means we're going to need to start in Powa, which is obviously the same mod. However, the Energizing Orb requires us to have heat in our world engine, which means we need to go speak with a new Echo, specifically the Fabricator. And here he is. Well, would you look at that, a new face. You might have already met my younger brother, the Machinist. A real genius, that one. That's not his real name, of course, but you didn't come here for family stories, did you? I'm assuming you're after the world engine upgrade. Figures. Alright, down to business. My upgrade isn't anything spectacular. I was showing you how to work with thermodynamics so you can send that heat into the world engine. Not as impressive as what other Echoes offer, but it's what I've got. To start, a superheating element will give you a good foundation for a resistive heater. There are other options out there if you're clever enough to figure them out, but this one will work to start things off. You'll also need to craft some thermodynamic conductors. They're basically just well-infused pipes. Nothing out of this world. Alright, and what does this guy have to offer in a shop? Some tier upgrades for that. We can also come and buy blazing energizing rods, which we might do. An infinity cobblestone cell, precision mechanisms, cool. And he also sells some data models as well. Interesting. That I'm not sure what it is. It is a broken data model, potentially. But yeah, some cool things here. We might come back and buy some of his wares, but for now, we'll head back to the base. So weirdly, he wants us to make ultimate thermodynamic conductors, which is bizarre, I think. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but I will head up to the world engine, and we can go ahead and craft this. Actually, I didn't check how much power it needed. Oh, we have enough. Okay, cool. Perfect. We'll get the superheating conducting element, and using this, it will allow us to make a resistive heater. However, it still won't allow us to do it until we make the ultimate one, which is crazy because we need atomic alloy for this, which isn't hard to do by any means. Okay, crusher process done. Then we can just throw this in here. And if I just speed this guy up temporarily, hopefully I have enough energy stored in this thing for it to work. We'll see. And we'll take this, infuse these, and with an atomic alloy, we should be able to craft what we need. It is weird that you do need the ultimate ones, but I guess it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. This gives us some money back, but it also gives us a gift of stone. So let's roll the dice. A portal gun from the JDT mod. I don't know what this does. Okay, there's one. I see my left click to shoot the other. Yeah, perfect. And that teleports me. Awesome. So it works just like a portal gun from the portal gun mod. If you ever used the portal gun mod back in the day, you'll know this is super fun. I'm stuck in an infinite loop. There we go. I will say, it is nice that you don't take damage. Now, I wonder if you can cancel the portals or if they'll disappear over time, Or if I put the portal gun away, if the portals disappear. No, they stay there. Interesting. Well, we'll figure that out another day. Not the biggest of concerns. However, if I take my energy cube with me, I first actually need to make an alloy smelter. And if I throw gravel into fire, we do get grains of infinity in return, which will allow us to make the void chassis that we need, which means we can make an alloy smelter. And see, this is why we have power issues, because I don't have any means of doing this. However, I did see you could buy random capacitors at spawn here. I'm going to buy one. It's not great, but it's not bad. And then we don't have to make a basic capacitor for now. This should just allow us to make fuse cords really fast. And last but not least, we just need an advanced control circuit. And if we head back up to the world engine, I should be able to just give this thing power. If I had my power, that is. So if we smack down the resistive heater beside our world engine here, slowly but surely this will climb up in temperature. I have it set to use 250 FE per tick. This shouldn't drain our energy immediately, hopefully, but slowly but surely this will raise in temperature. It does take quite a while, it seems, but slowly but surely that will heat up. Also, we somehow got 3 world engine plating walls. I'm not entirely sure how. I was breaking a block with my hammer and they just appeared in my inventory. Actually, though, it ended the back of my backpack, so that's pretty useless. But it is very nice being able to fly in here, I will say. Good sir, you must be sacrificed to the world engine. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. And slowly but surely we're climbing in temperature here. It is taking quite a while, but this should cross over into 350 Celsius any second here. And there we go. Craft beginning. Perfect. We now have an energizing orb. Okay, time to speak with our new Echo friend and see what he has to say about our new heat generators. I hope I was able to help you with something, though. There's not much I could offer in the first place, and even less now. The more competent Echo should have better things for you to do. If you're interested, I hope my shop can provide you with some useful, fun items. And that is exactly what I want to hear, because while I don't really care for anything else in here, getting energizing blazing rods this early is really nice, so I'm going to buy 4 of them. I don't need anything else in here realistically right now. There are some nice things for sure, don't get me wrong here, but I definitely want these. Part of me also wants a giant chance cube, but I'm going to turn that down for now and we'll just head back with these blazing rods. So if I do a really scuffed setup at the moment, just right here, and make myself some item transporters, and to very simply automate energizing orbs like this, what we're going to go ahead and do is open this item transporter here. We have it set to the input, so you just simply right click. This is going to be its input. We have it on whitelist and regulate mode enabled, and we're going to take 1 gold ingot and 1 iron ingot, and then if we throw a stack of these in the chest, only 2 will go in at a time, and then they will automatically come out as energized steel. So we can do the same thing with both emerald, diamond, and then 4 blaze powder. And then this is automatically set up to do all of them as long as we put them in the chest. However, you can only do 1 craft at a time with this method. Obviously, with applied energistics, this can be completely automated without having to worry. But for early auto crafting or early bulk crafting, this is a very good solution. But like I said, you can only do 1 at a time. So if you're doing energizing steel, only gold and iron can go in there. If you're doing spirited crystals, only emeralds. If you put iron and gold in there, as well as emeralds, it'll get clogged up and it won't work. So if I go ahead and throw a stack of blaze rods in there, we'll do 4 at a time, and that'll give us our blazing crystals. And these should allow us to make some basic thermal generators, or magmators, sorry, which will allow better power generation so we can get to spirited. And while I wait for all of those blaze powders to finish up making, I am going to go ahead and start crafting the blaze chicken. So this guy's pretty simple. It's just the lava chicken plus the gold chicken. And the gold chicken is simply yellow plus iron. So we have everything we need. I just need to grab my lava chicken out of the roost up here. And then we'll take gold plus lava, and that'll give us our blaze chicken. And then we will throw him inside the feeder here, which means I do need a bunch more seeds. And we will take a single blaze chicken, throw it in here, and slowly but surely he will level up, and we should be good to go. Unfortunately, we don't have access to the Flux Networks mod at the moment until we get the Ender Cell upgrade for our world engine. However, we were lucky enough to get these 2 Tesseracts from a Stone Pebble quest, so we're going to use these as a transfer for our power for now, which means I want to make a power room, and I think we're going to go off in this direction. This will be resource generation hall. This will probably be like our main hub, which will turn into applied energistic eventually once we take down this cherry tree. This will be resource generation, and I guess we can do power over this way for now. I'm not entirely sure how I want to design the base. We're kind of just winging it at this point. But what is the center block here? We went with 1. Whoops. I might Ooh, that's actually really unfortunate I didn't center this base. Also, I hate when frame doors do this, they just lose their texture occasionally. But if that's one, I guess I want to keep it centered, so we'll go with one here for now. Now what's cool is we're going to use a powered smeltery, so we'll use the power we're creating to fuel this instead of needing a source of lava, which means this capacitor will slowly craft. It is just 10 redstone cast above a single fire brick, very simple. And with a foundry capacitor, we can now power our productive metalworks electronically. And I'm not exactly sure how I want to design this room just quite yet. I guess the entrance will be here, obviously. And then we will have... this will change, most likely. We will design this how we want later, once we have, like, cooler blocks and maybe flight so that we can craft or fly around and build better. But for now, I'm just trying to get a layout of how I want to do it. And I think having it just over the entrance here will be fine. Let's go 3 blocks back. And if we do a controller right here, and if we do something very simple like this, and then run 2 drains going this way, I should be able to line up these really nicely, like so. And then this will obviously power this way, and it'll also go into our tesseract down here once we set the energy, create energy, very simple. And if we set that to energy, this will now be our energy input. And I believe if we just cast out into these automatically with some pipes, it should work. However, I am realizing one flaw in this plan, and I do want to move the controller to the other side, like so. So we can input our blaze chickens from that side instead of doing it from this. And then something simple like that, and this should work magically. So all we need to do is fuel this with blaze rods, and I should be able to kickstart it just with a bit of power. And if we just speed this chicken trainer up just a little bit more, I should be able to cross over to that 128 threshold, and we should have enough seats to do that. Alright, we'll speed them up. And that means I do also need another farm of sorts. However, we're going to do a different farm for this one, specifically. For this, we're going to go with the just Dire Things goo, and somehow I don't have any dirt. Interesting. We'll go ahead and make it Primal Gel Goo, which can turn into Blaze Bloom, which can then turn into Void Shimmer. Now, I do believe I need Echo Shards to feed this guy, but it might be something else. It's Chorus Fruit and Ender Pearls. Okay, Ender Pearls are doable. Thank goodness it's not Echo Shards. So with this, we'll take some diamond blocks, and slowly these will progress. Now, someone said in my comment section that for some reason with this specific shader pack that it doesn't show the progression of it. So we're just going to disable shaders temporarily and wait for this to progress. We'll see the transformation, then we can turn them back on. Now, our base doesn't look too bad without shaders on, and it also fixes the portal texture, so they actually work. And to be honest, it doesn't really change much, but I do like the look of shaders just with lighting specifically. But honestly, it doesn't look too bad. We might need to fix our shader settings, I'm going to be honest. But we'll go ahead and collect our Celeste Gems. And this will allow us to make a Celeste Gem hoe, which we can then use to make a drop teleporter. And then just give this guy a quick power boost really fast. And I believe this should kick in, start making us some blaze powder. And then these will start filling up slowly but surely and generating power potentially. Seems like it. Okay, perfect. It is generating power slowly but surely. And obviously these aren't the best. It is only generating 100 FE per tick, but once we get to Spirited, it should generate a decent amount. At max, it does 25,000 FE per mil bucket. But for now, obviously, these aren't going to be the most efficient. So another thing we're going to go ahead and make is just some growth accelerators. Now we're going to use these on both farms, but for now we're just going to use it for the one. Make some more flux crystals. And if we make some growth accelerators, it should speed up the process a lot. And if we go ahead and throw the drop teleporter upgrade on our Celeste Gem home, so with a quick shift right click on that drawer and then right clicking down here, this now will transport all goods that are farmed here there. I can't use fertilizer on it, unfortunately. However, if I go ahead and plant this seed and grow it, it should automatically start moving over here. So we have 97. Let's grow it really fast. We now have 110. So it's working exactly as intended. However, the growth accelerators are offline, which means I do want to make sure they're set up. So if we head to the world engine really fast, I am going to bring my energy cube. I'm going to make some crystal growth accelerators, like so. And these will just power our accelerators simply without having to connect them to power or anything. Now, it doesn't seem to be blatantly working. I may have these the wrong direction, I'm going to be honest. I was almost positive this would work, however, it doesn't seem to be working. If you know if I'm doing something incorrectly, leave it in the comments below, I would appreciate that, but I'm pretty sure this should work with the Celeste Gem dirt. It might not, and it might not just work with the roost seeds specifically. I'm not entirely sure, however, this system should keep up. Obviously, it's not the best, and we will have a better farming solution later, but at the moment, I have 9,000 blaze rods, and if I ever need to, I could just come over here and shift to grow them for a little while, and it will fill up in no time. And we could always make more dirt and just have it automatically harvest anyways. But yeah, we are more than well enough off with our molten blaze at the moment. These guys are all full, they're currently generating power, and if I slap down an energy cube, we should be fine. And yeah, now we have perfect generation of power. This guy's on send only, and then we can slap our Tesseract down wherever we want, and power will go there. So say if we wanted a Tesseract here to power both the Crusher and this Alloy Smelter, we would come over here, activate it, and click Receive Only, and these will slowly start filling with power thanks to our Tesseract over here. So the system does work, but like I said, these are only hardened at the moment. We do want them to be blazing at least, and then eventually spirited, and so on and so forth. So what we will do is I'll put the Tesseract where it should be, which is over here, making our blazing. So if we go ahead and collect our current ones, I should be able to right click them. These can all be upgraded, and then slowly but surely as we get spirited, which will take a lot more power, we'll be fine. So these guys are generating 400 compared to 100, so it's already 4 times, which is a lot better to say the least. And our Tesseract also acts as a buffer, which is really nice, and it does store a decent amount of power. And if we want all of them to be Niotic, we need 156 spirited crystals, or Niotic crystals, sorry. And slowly but surely this will craft. It's going to take a very, very long time, and we probably won't have enough power to do it with our current power setup. Well, sorry, we won't have enough power reserve to do all 128 or whatever at the moment. So whatever ends up crafting with this power, we will craft immediately, just so we can at least boost our power a bit. But slowly but surely these will start upgrading, and like I said, we will get to Spirited, and then we'll have to obviously take a break because we don't currently have access to nether stars, but we will get there eventually. Now what I will say is really fun about this is completely expandable as much as we want. So if we want to make 100 of these, we can. Now I'm not sure we will go about making 100 Magmators or Magmators or however you want to pronounce it, but we definitely could in the future. But I think there will be much better power sources available to us later down the line. But I think this is a very fun, unique way to make power that I've never used before, so we're going to go ahead and do it. And then with these, we went from 100 to then 400 with Blazing, and now to 1000 with Niotic. So once we get to Emeratic, or Spirited, sorry, Ron mod, once we get to Spirited, I believe this should go up to like 4,000 or maybe even 8,000. I'm not entirely sure what it will jump to, but then once we get to Niotic, it should be pretty good per Magmator, considering this only burns very, very little Molten Blaze per tick, or a decent amount of power to be honest. And this is surprisingly filling faster than is being drained, which I didn't expect with just 5. Yeah, it's working pretty well, I'm gonna be honest. So with very little effort on our part using stuff we already had, the only thing we had to do was breed a single chicken and then just upgrade stuff as we moved along. We are now making 12,000 FE per tick, which isn't anything to write home about, but it can still be upgraded from here. And like I said, this was very minimal effort. The Tesseract obviously was nice that we got for free, but we already did all the work for Productive Metalworks, and we already did the basics of Mechanism to get the power cables. So yeah, all we needed to do with this entire thing was breed a single chicken, and technically I guess make this Celeste Gem Hoe, but we could have used any type of farming method to get these seeds transferred over here, and we probably will figure out something better than that in the future. But for now, we already have 24,000 blaze rods, so I shouldn't run out of power anytime soon with this amount of energy. But yeah, slowly but surely, these all fill up and all output their power. And what we can do is start making spirited crystals. So once again, 156 of them, and these take 1,000,000 FE per. So unfortunately, this will take quite a while to get done, but eventually all of them will be finished. We have enough spirited crystals to upgrade 5 of them, and hopefully these guys produce a decent amount of power. So unfortunately it's only 4, which means Niotic will most likely be 8, which means this entire setup should be around 96,000 FE per tick. Nothing fantastic or nothing to write home about, but it is still a decent enough amount to say that's a pretty good system, all things considered. Now, this setup isn't perfect, obviously, like I've mentioned. However, we can eventually speed this up once we get into Soul Surging. However, this does require 2 advanced upgrades for our world engine that we do not have access to yet. So that's currently out of the question. However, once we get these all set up, it will be 48,000 FE per tick, which is a pretty decent early game power source. It's nothing, like I said, crazy. Gas burning, which is also a really good solution at this point in the game. I just figured I'd want to do something that I haven't done in the past, and something that's kind of unique using chicken generation with blaze rods. I don't know. There's probably a lot better power sources. I just thought this one would be fun for right now. And now, finally, with all 12 complete, we have somewhat of an early game power source. It's nothing, I've said this 12 times at this point, but it's nothing crazy, but it is kind of fun. And yeah, these are already all full of energy. We're going to have a decently large backlog. I will probably need a better power storage source, but for now, we're not going to complain that we do have the energy finally. Nevertheless, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the episode there. I do hope you enjoyed. In the next episode, we're going to continue to upgrade our world engine and hopefully head to the tier 3 upgrades. I'm not entirely sure what those will entail, but as you saw when we were looking at the soul surging, there's quite a few upgrades left for us to upgrade so that we can actually use our world engine to craft late game items. So we'll definitely want to look into that. But until next time, I do hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, leave a like on the video. It means a lot. If you don't want to miss any future uploads, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye!